Leaders don't have to be charismatic, but sometimes effective leadership requires inspirational behavior.
I'd say that the key quality of a leader is somebody who's able to inspire and motivate people. And it's very difficult to inspire people if you're not communicating with them, especially communicating key decisions about what direction they're going in. It would have been very, very difficult, exceedingly difficult, I think, for Martin Luther King to organize the Selma March if he wasn't communicating with his people and telling him, this is what we should be doing. I think he wouldn't have been anywhere near so successful if he wasn't listening to his people up to the point where he made the decisions. So I think communication is inextricably tied to leadership.
Hi, I'm Donald Vredenberg, Professor of Management at the Zicklin School of Business at Baruch College. We've had many successful leaders visit Baruch to talk with our students about leadership, and they've addressed this inspiring facet of leadership. Leaders motivate. They motivate others to pursue a vision, to strive for meaningful objectives, to identify with a larger collective. Stimulating individuals through energizing ideals, they foster others' confidence in their leadership through optimism and enthusiasm. By framing opportunities imaginatively and responding to crises positively, they attract followership. We call this transformational leadership in leadership research. However, sometimes a seemingly simple, personal touch brings forth responsiveness.
I'm kind of responsible for the heart of the organization. And wouldn't it be interesting to send people Valentine's cards? So I filled out a lot of cards. Dear Joe, thank you for bringing heart to Keyspan. Mary, you make this a warmer place. I got on a roll. I started writing all of them out. So I wrote them all out. And on Valentine's Day came. I got to the office early. I took my little 50 cards. I went walking around. I put it on mail carts. I slipped it onto people's desks. About 2 weeks later, I had a meeting with one of our officers who's in charge of corporate communications. And when I went into the office, pasted on her wall is the Barney Valentine. She still got it. I said, isn't that odd? And that piqued my interest. And I said, wonder what else is going on out there. So I began to investigate and walk around. And what I came to see was a lot of people kept the Valentine's cards. They had it in their cubicles. They had it in their offices. I sometimes get the feeling that I'm able to get away with some of the things I do is because stuffed deep in some executive's drawer is a Barney Valentine.
Opportunities to exercise inspirational leadership are not limited to top management. Lower-level managers can empower subordinates through challenging responsibility, constructive feedback, and encouragement of professional development.
The really big benefit of being in a corporation like Loral is I get educated every day. If I don't know something, and there's lots of things I don't know, I find out who in the organization knows that, and I ask them to tell me about it. I have the benefit of a wonderful chief financial officer who's got an impressive MBA degree from a school, 20 years of experience at IBM, and I regularly consult with him as sort of what is the textbook answer to certain types of problems and issues. Sometimes I follow it, sometimes I don't, but I make use of his experiences, and that's been helpful to me, but I make use of lots of people's experiences.
Effective leadership usually requires effective communication. Good leaders employ various technologies and structured processes to disseminate information and persuade others. Managing communication improves decision-making, coordination, and commitment. Competence in interpersonal communication involves listening, tolerating alternative viewpoints, and both giving and receiving feedback.
And good leaders are people who really live by the tenet that there's nothing you can't do if you're willing to give other people the credit for it. So it's been in my experience that leaders, they're very good. People who rise to the organizations, don't get me wrong, they're good about getting credit for what they've done, but what they're really good at is getting it done. And good leaders recognize that you're a lot more likely to get something done if you've got other people working with you to do it.
Fundamental facets of leadership, such as demonstrating results orientation, managing strategic change, and building relationships, often depend upon inspiring interpersonal and communication behavior. Baruch's curriculum and extracurricular activities, such as the Leadership Speaker Series, give emphasis to leadership communication.